I'll make campaign out there.
I want to put them out and put them back in.
Yeah.
You know what it is to like put them back in?
No,
It's like putting something back in the box.
yeah, just throw them away.
It's like put it back in the box. So once they come out, it's like
Tell me they just take them out. I'll put them out. Just take them out. Oh,
Good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is our November 14th, 2024 regular council meeting. Marianne, can I get roll call?
Mayor Young,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sartori,
Here.
Councilmember Brandon,
here.
Councilmember Painter,
Here.
Councilmember French.
Here.
Okay, and the invocation and pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to welcome up this evening the pastor of Family Church Tequesta, Mike Richardson, to pray for us.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's been a pleasure to live in Tequesta the last 15 years. My wife and I built our family here. And just on behalf of our congregation, we love being a neighborhood church in this neighborhood. Let's bow our heads and pray together. Heavenly Father, we love you, and God, we're just so grateful that we get to live in a place like this. God, thank you. We're reminded on Monday for veterans that have fought and given years, given family members, given their life, given their best, God, to create a place where we can live the life that we feel like you called us to live. And thank you for this special place that this is, God. It's beautiful, and families are flourishing here, and there's just diversity of life where people want to come to. Thank you for the wisdom of the council, God. I pray that you continue to give them wisdom, God, to help this to be a place that people want to live in, that it has human flourishing. God, we lift up our public services. We lift up all the other departments, God. Thank you for them and their selfless service to make this place so special. We thank you that you love us. Thank you that you gave everything that you could give in the death, burial, and resurrection of your son, Jesus, so that we could be pulled in and lift up into your family. God, I pray for the rest of this night that you be on it and bless everyone here. It's in your name, Jesus, that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I would like to get a motion for approval of agenda with council considering potentially moving agenda item 20, which is resolution 12-24 for the police pension, to go before or after agenda item 17, which is ordinance number 10-24 for the police pension.
So moved.
Second.
Do you want it before or after the ordinance?
It should be after.
After?
Yeah, there's no, can't do the resolution unless the ordinance is on the
Okay,
books.
perfect.
Right. It'd be going to new business.
Yeah, it would be the first new business item. Yep, okay, so we got,
I'll make a motion to move 17 to 20 being the first order of business for new business.
thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, first presentations. Tonight we have Sergio from Discover the Palm Beaches. Well, do you want to introduce yourself while we wait for the...
Yeah, that's fine. I wasn't sure where to start here. But hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Sergio Piedra. I'm Senior Director of Community Engagement and Advocacy for Discover the Palm Beaches, the official tourism marketing organization for Palm Beach County. In other words, your tourism folks. And we have been, over the last year, been taking our message on the road. So this is the latest stop in our tourism advocacy roadshow. And we're very happy to be here in Tequesta. Actually, it's my first time in the Village Hall. Very nice. I think we have a very short presentation here, kind of give you an update on what we do and what tourism is looking like, for at least for Tequesta, but also to the entire county. And like I said, the object of this is to kind of bring our message to you. We are more than just, in our minds at least, and we want to change that perspective, is that we're more than just a tourism marketing agency. We're a community organization which is kind of tells the story of all of the cities in this county. All 39 cities mean something to us, and everyone has a story to tell. And Tequesta has a heck of a good story to tell, and we wanted to let you know that our organization wants to keep lines of communication open with all of our cities. And we appreciate the few moments we have to kind of tell you what we do and how things are looking. So I'll wait just a moment here.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, so like I said, I kind of covered this first slide there, but you can go to the second one there. Like I said, we are here to keep your lines of communication wide open, represent you to the world and the entire county, but also change perspectives on what we do as an organization. So what better way to do that than a very quick video that we are very happy to present to you. And if you've already seen it, it gets better each and every time, trust me. So hopefully this should work.
This is it?
We get a commercial too, so.
It's hard to imagine life getting any better in the Palm Beaches. Our community is not only a thriving home for residents, but also a fantastic destination for visitors seeking the Palm Beaches promise of genuine hospitality that welcomes everyone. At Discover the Palm Beaches, the official tourism marketing organization for Palm Beach County, we're reaching more visitors than ever before and bringing direct benefits to our community, making tourism a win-win for everyone. Tourism generates over $10 billion annually for the local economy, as well as over $7 billion in direct visitor spending. What does that mean? Visitors generate more than $260 million in local taxes and fees. These are costs residents don't have to pay. Plus, tourism supports nearly 90,000 local jobs, providing stable incomes and opportunities for career growth right here in Palm Beach County. Tourism helps fund community events and cultural activities, enriching the lives of residents by making the Palm Beaches a vibrant, diverse, and culturally rich place to live. Additionally, tourism helps facilitate efforts to preserve our natural resources, keep our beaches beautiful, and protect our sea turtles and wildlife, all funded in part by tourist development dollars. All of these dollars come from a 6% bed tax on overnight stays in hotels and vacation rentals paid by visitors coming to the Palm Beaches and not by residents. Discover the Palm Beaches works for everyone in Palm Beach County. We work together with all the Tourist Development Council agencies to connect with businesses and residents. Together, we represent Palm Beach County to the world. There are a lot of travel destinations competing for our share of visitors. And our job at Discover the Palm Beaches is to establish a recognizable brand story to show how incredible our destination is, from Jupiter to Boca Raton to Lake Okeechobee. Thanks to these efforts, visitors are coming to the Palm Beaches to experience unsurpassed shopping, beaches, restaurants, nature, arts, golf, resorts, and more. Tourism is a cornerstone of our community's prosperity, contributing to quality of place and quality of life. It's the reason why the Palm Beaches continue to be extraordinary for residents and visitors alike. To learn more about our efforts, scan the code or visit thepalmbeaches.com/advocacy today.
Thank you. And for the second part of our presentation, I'm going to bring in my colleague Gustav, take you into the numbers.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you for having us here today. I'm Gustav Leibel. I'm the Senior Vice President of Research for Discover the Palm Beaches. And if we can move to slide here. All right, so where I'm going to start is you saw some statistics in that video in there, so I'm going to dive into where this comes from. So this is our research platform. So the basic things that we're focusing on is this visitor information, how many people are coming here, where they're coming from, what they look like. We have a variety of sources where we get that. It's not just one source. We have surveys. We use geolocation data, which helps us dive in to more than beyond the county. So that's one of the things, our primary focus is to see what's happening in Palm Beach County, but we have the ability to go down into the granular levels, into zip codes, into cities, Through some of the stuff that we subscribe to, and we also have opportunities to leverage the power of all the research we're doing to dive in with ad hoc requests, anything. If you have any questions about Tequesta, we can certainly figure out how we can dive deeper into that, beyond visitation, the spending, the economic impact, hotel performance, resident sentiment. So I'm going to go through some of these. One thing that I do want to call out is destination demand. Is that's something that we've developed over the last 18 months that does a week-to-week forecast for 6 months out on hotel performance, and we leverage that as a team and as a community to sort of see where the need periods are that need a little extra promotion, and that we feel that's been very successful in our performance in the last year. The next slide, this is visitation data that we have for Tequesta. So we're using a company called Placer AI, which you may have heard of. It's geolocation. It's how cell phones are moving around the country. And they're estimating in there about 38,000 visitors to Tequesta in 2023. And these are devices that are originating from somewhere else outside of the county. So not just, we're excluding anyone that's a Palm Beach County resident in this number. And that makes up about 0.5% of the total visitation to Palm Beach County. Next slide here is tourism sales. So from the Florida Department of Revenue, we've been able to get basically gross sales from a variety of sectors by a zip code level. So the 33469 zip code, which is maybe a little bit more than just Tequesta. We have restaurant spending there. That's $73 million, up $9 million from 2022. There is some lodging data, but they don't allow us to have when there's less than 5 businesses in any sector. We are not allowed to get that data in there just because we don't really want to know what an individual business is doing. So I know there's one hotel, and definitely there's Airbnbs and things like that would roll up into this number as well in there. Next slide, this is resident sentiment survey. We conduct a survey every single year with 800 Palm Beach County residents, and we ask in there a whole bunch of questions about their perceptions on tourism and also where you reside. So Tequesta is definitely one of those cities that we ask about. I've rolled up data from the last couple years and also put Jupiter in there so we can get a better sample. There's only maybe a handful of people from Tequesta that fill out the survey every year, but you can see the Tequesta Jupiter area, how they compare to a Palm Beach County general resident and some of these metrics in there. So generally a little bit lower perception of tourism on how it makes a positive impact, improves quality of life and things like that. So I think you find that interesting information in there. And then finally here, in terms of attribution, so we do all of our marketing and promotional and sales efforts. We track back to our performance in there, and we find that about every $1 that we spend, $109 is returned to Palm Beach County in total economic impact. And that also returns $3 in bed taxes, which is our primary funding source. So we're basically getting a 3-to-1 on every single dollar that we're investing in terms of generating room nights and economic impacts, spending at restaurants and all that. And next slide in here, the tourism master plan. So this is something I've been with Discover for 14 years, and for the last 10 plus years, this is something we've really wanted to have. We've never done a tourism master plan for the county, so we've kicked this off this year. We've been in process maybe about 6 months. There's a website that you can go to called, it's right there, pbctourismplan.com. It has everything about the plan. We have a report on what are all the deliverables, what are all the things, the items that the consultant, CSL, is working on. I know that a few of you have been invited to some of these stakeholder interviews. We're in the information gathering process right now, just getting all the documents that we can find. There's a couple of documents I know from Tequesta that have been incorporated into the document review phase. Some of those master plans, I believe it was a parks master plan and some infrastructure master plan that's in that review process. So everything is sort of in this information gathering stage where we're going to launch some surveys out beyond the one-on-one interviews and focus groups that we've had within the community. All those reports so far are on this website, so you can go there and you can see how everything's progressing in there. So there's a summary on Tequesta in there, some of the key findings. The goal is to once we aggregate all this, we have heard from everyone in the community, what, every single little pocket is interested in or concerned about. We're going to embrace all of that and create an entire roadmap for tourism in the future and how that would affect each community. So if there's communities that want less tourism or want more tourism, or if they have infrastructure needs and how to get people around the community, all those things will be addressed in some form or fashion. So once that plan, we've gathered all the information, we've sort of delineated, okay, what are the items that the county, that the Tourism Development Council can kind of take ownership of and be the champion of. We'll start then socializing those ideas to see if we're in the right place, and we know that that we're on the right track and that's what you're interested in, then we can move forward on an implementation plan from there. So that will be probably another 6 or 9 months of process. So we'd love to come back here and sort of roll out some of those ideas with you in the future on that. And that's the last slide in there. So I want to thank you again for the time to have us here to present and share what we do and the information we have about tourism in the county.
Great, thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
No, just thank you for coming in. It's great to hear what you guys are doing, and keep up the good work. I've had the pleasure of working with Sergio and Gustav and some of the stakeholder engagements, and the data is real. Just so you hear these numbers, I mean, you always wonder, does it really, that economic impact, is it there? And the way they track and the programs that Gustav has access to, it's real. Like I said, they track that Visa card to where it originates from, where it comes. So those are real dollars. And just a class organization, your kickoff of the master plan a couple weeks ago was just top-notch programming. So again, congratulations on what you do, and thank you for including us.
2 quick things that I think were really neat from your website that maybe you could talk about so the community can know. I think, don't you have on your website that you can build like an itinerary depending on the city you're going to? I mean, that's even like local. People in Palm Beach County can use that if they want to do like a staycation and, go to another city. And then something I learned just from the county EOC calls during storm is I think it's your website that has a list of hotels, availability for people that are evacuating. Do you just want to talk about those real quick? Because I think they're really great features that probably a lot of people don't even know about.
Yes, actually, thank you for bringing those things up. Right now, we have a program, or kind of a campaign called our Palm Beaches Collection, and Tequesta is part of that. And what it is designed to do is, like, you pick an individual city, whether it's Boca Raton, Tequesta, West Palm Beach, and so forth, and it kind of builds an itinerary around that. That's kind of like one phase of it. And then now we've kind of brought in an AI concierge, if you will, which, again, will kind of showcase some of the things to do, like if you say, give me top 10 things to do in Tequesta, or top things to do in Wellington, and so forth. So yes. And then second part of your question, yes, since I'm the hurricane guy at our office, one of the things we do pride ourselves on is being able to send out that information about hotel occupancy, hotel availability during storms. This past one, during Milton, we had quite a few evacuees coming from the West Coast, Tampa, Orlando, and so forth. And we were able to showcase our hotels and show them where there was occupancy levels. Gustav was able to kind of track down availability for hotels, but also recalled each individual property in the county to figure out what their status was. So our hurricane action team, our storm emergency team, where we kind of work together on this. So we want to be a trusted source during times of crisis. So yes, it's about, the hurricane plan is about 20 years in the making, but we keep getting better at it, I think.
Yeah, that's great. I think it even says like if it allows pets, like it's very detailed. And I mean, that's even could be helpful to our own county residents, because you might be evacuated or your house may not be safe, but you don't necessarily have to go far. You can maybe find a hotel that's just in a safer area, so you can go back to your home quickly. So I think it's all great stuff you guys have on the website there. So thank you for talking about that. Okay, anything else?
No.
All right, thank you for your time. We appreciate you coming
Thank you
here.
very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Okay, second presentation tonight is by Scott Case from the FDOT US 1 bridge replacement.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us here tonight to present on the progress update for the Jupiter Bridge project. First, Want to start off, there's an embedded video at the bottom of the slide. I know it's been a while since we had our last meeting. It's been since March of last year, prior to the detour. So I just wanted to, we prepared this short video to kind of show you the progress that went from March 13th of last year till where we're at today. So I hope you enjoy it. Go ahead.
Nothing popped up when I hit play. Oh, there we go.
Okay. All right, so as you can see, a lot of work has been done in the past year and a half. If you remember, from a year and a half ago, we closed the bridge down and we had to demo the existing structure and then start putting in the new and try and do that in about a year and a half, year and 10 months to open it back up to traffic with one lane in each direction. And there you go. And what a lot of people don't realize is that this is more than just a concrete bridge. This is a concrete bridge with 2 4-story buildings and a lot of electrical and mechanical equipment that go in it to operate it. And all these parts coming in from out of state, all over the country, coming in and supplying our project. So a lot of work, has been done in the past year and a half. Before I get into the schedule, I wanted to talk about some of the key successes that we've had on the project, to date. And there's a lot of them, but I want to mention a few key ones here. So when we started the project, a lot of people didn't realize we had to repair the A1A bridge, the alternate A1A bridge. So to get that ready to receive all the volume of traffic that we were putting in for that detour, we had to go underneath the bridge and repair a lot of the indents, and the pier caps because of their deterioration in order to withstand and hold the traffic volumes. So that was done. The detour, the smart work zone that we put in, that whole first year of us being on the project was doing all the intersection improvements within the detour route and putting in all of our ITS infrastructure in. So what was that? That's a bunch of communication cables and cameras and devices that monitored the traffic that went and hooked up to the traffic management center. So before all this, I'm sure you guys have been around a lot of these intersections where if there was a backup at a traffic light or whatever, you'd see somebody out there counting cars, you know, for the traffic management center. Then they'd relay that information back to the engineer who'd make an informed decision to change the lighting sequences. Here, all of that data is now at the operator's fingertips at the traffic management center, from speed to traffic delays, traffic counts, and monitoring the intersections as a whole. And all that is hooked up so they can make real informed decisions in a timely manner. We also put in a bunch of emergency preemption devices for local emergency responders and that, so as they're getting towards the intersections, they have it installed in their vehicles, and it's installed at the traffic signal cabinets. So as they approach, the signal turns the light green and lets the traffic flush through the intersections, and it helps get the responders to where they need to go in a timely fashion. So all that was good, and overall, you know, as far as the detour goes, I mean, let's face it, it is a detour. You know, there are going to be some impacts, but I think overall the way this detour has went over the course of the construction has been remarkable. I mean, it's been performing better than what was anticipated. Sure, you're going to have some backups during peak hours, you know, when the Indiantown road bridge, you know, opens up, or when the trains come in. You know, you're going to have those backups, but overall I think we've been able to keep the traffic moving given this detour route and the volume of traffic that we have. Vibration monitoring, you know, there was a big vibration monitoring program that we had on the project, and so what we have as the contractors and that on these typical projects is to monitor the ground elevations for vibration levels not to exceed certain limits. And we put vibration monitors all over where it's local residential buildings or commercial buildings or historical preservation buildings. But on this project, due to the nature with the museum and the lighthouse, we also hired another consultant to install monitors at the top of the building to measure the amplitude of the ground vibrations going up the building to make sure that those historical sites were preserved as best as possible. So that all went done without a hitch. So we successfully completed that. And speaking of the foundations themselves, when we started the project, you know, the project was involved with pile driving. So all of you, I'm sure you've had, you know, seen construction with driving piles in the ground, picking a big concrete pile up, putting a hammer on it, driving it down. That's typical, you know, construction technique. This job, however, when we started the test pile program, we started getting into severe vibration impacts as a result of what we were driving through. Despite the soil borings, despite all the historical data that we had, it was just too much. And we made the determination in the test pile program to drill down and remove the material all the way down at the bottom of it, remove all that material, so that eliminated the amount of drive time that we had to encounter during the pile driving. So we stuck the pile back in, drove it a few feet to get our end bearing, then we took that material, put it right back in the casing that the pile was in, pulled the casing, tapped the pile again to consolidate everything, and did that for 300 piles. So you can imagine it's tedious, but it was at the benefit of the local residents to preserve the local structures, the surrounding structures, and the historical sites that we have. And we are able to do that with minimal impact, you know, on the overall project. So that was great. The exterior walls, you saw in the video, you saw that on the face of the bascule piers, this three-dimensional architectural feature that's on the wall. So that was a design change that we did as far as constructing it. It was supposed to be monolithic, you know, all the way through in the pier, but there was no way we were gonna achieve that look by pouring it straight down a form. You'd have people out there pointing and patching those walls forever. So we came up with a plan to separate the architectural portion of the wall from the structural portion of the wall. And we laid it down and precasted that on the barges out there, and then stood them up and then cast them with the architectural or the structural piece. So what did that do? That saved us time in getting the forms out there to build this steel metal forms, you know, in a vertical scenario. It saved us time doing that, and it preserved the architectural look that was the intent of the design. So that was a win for us. All the utility relocations that we had, the big ones with FPL and the gas that went through the Loxahatchee River and Intercoastal, those were major impacts, you know, to the project, you know, as far as getting those relocated. The gas went without a hitch, but as we all know, FPL, a little different story with them. But we were able to work around that and take our schedule and work out a phase in order to help mitigate that time and keep the project on schedule. One of the things that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention is a safety feature that we implemented on this project that was post-design. So I'm sure you've heard in the news, even here recently, and prior to the job starting, some of these movable structures where pedestrians have walked on the structure and the bridge has been opened without seeing them, and either they fall to their demise or they get severely injured as a result. We have implemented, or the DOT has mandated, a change on all existing movable bridge structures and on new structures to incorporate what's called a LiDAR detection system. What that system does is it detects pedestrian movement on the bridge through a series of cameras and infrared sensors that are hooked to the control house at the control panel. So if I'm the bridge tender and I think everything's clear and I go to press the button to release the span lock and raise the bridge, if those sensors detect movement, it keeps the span lock closed and will not allow the bridge to open until you have to manually override it until the movement clears. So those are safety features that we're putting in as a safety improvement for the project. So next slide, please. All right, what everyone wants to know, schedule. So as I told you before, we started the project in the fall of 2021. That first year was getting everything ready for the detour. We did that detour in the spring of 23, March 13th to be exact. And we're looking to open up one lane in each direction by early of next year. We are working 7 days around the clock to get that done by Christmas, right? That's what we're trying to do. But we're telling everyone at this time, early 25, because we're still in the hurricane season. As you've seen this week, there's another storm out there that's looking to rip, you know, across the states. We don't know what kind of impact that's going to have, but you know, barring any major disasters here, we should be able to get it this year. But like I said, we got time till early 25 to get it knocked out. But a lot of things have happened, you know, throughout the course of the project that you know, have caused delays. You know, the pile driving, you know, was one of those. Even though it didn't have a long-term, you know, impact, it did have some, you know, delay because it was very tedious. We had some demo problems when we were demoing the existing structure. Some of the footings, existing footings with the asphalt showed 5 foot thick, and they ended up being 15 foot thick. So it took a little extra time to get through those footings that were existing to get all that debris out, because we had to put coffer cells around it in order to remove it. You know, even with those impacts that we had, we were able to come up with certain techniques like the wall panels, right? Where I told you we could save some time by precast and doing that. So we would come up during the project with little techniques like that that really, you know, saved us some time, and working around the clock and 7 days a week, you know, going from 5 to 7, you know, just trying to get out. We started making up a good bit of time. We were well on our way to hitting the November date, and then the weather starts coming in. So most people don't understand that, you know, with the weather the way it is, you know, if I take a hurricane and it comes in, a hurricane impacts us a couple of days, right? Or somebody says a week. Well, that's all your impact. How could a week turn into this? Well, if, as I said, this isn't just a concrete bridge. I've got mechanical and electrical that's going in these 4-story buildings to operate the bridge. So if I have a delivery that's coming from Detroit that's supposed to be in Florida that week, and it can't be in Florida that week because the hurricane's coming in, it's on a route. So it's going to continue on its route and pick me up on the back leg of it. So it might be a couple of weeks to 3 weeks before it gets back here to deliver the material that I need. And I've got, you know, you take into account the electrical, the mechanical. I've got Detroit, you know, where I'm getting material from, Alabama, Georgia. So all those, you know, states, you know, multiplied, it kind of throws it off. It's not just a one-day delay. It turns into several weeks. And then when we're trying to pour the concrete, you know, for our concrete structures, if we're doing walls, you know, and stuff of that nature, it's in a form, right? So it's protected from the weather. But if I'm doing a bridge deck, which is what we're doing now, which is the most important part, you know, right now, it's all exposed to the weather. So the conditions have to be pristine in order for me to pour that deck. If the winds are too high, it'll crack the deck, and then I have to demo the deck. You might as well talk a couple of million, add it to the budget, and a year delay, right? So especially on the bascule spans. You know, if I have to postpone it, I get in the concrete trucks. They're coming from West Palm Beach. So if I can't pour early morning, if I push it out, they're caught in traffic, and I'm getting cold joints in the bridge deck, which I'll have to demo the deck, start all over again. You know, if I push it out to early evening, well, it's just the things you don't think of. I just violated labor laws with the truck drivers because they can't drive more than so many hours during the day. And so I have to wait till they open the plant back up, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning, or pay a premium on the weekend to open them up. But they just, you know, they don't have enough truck drivers to work, you know, these type shifts. So it just turns into an evolving process. But just, you know, trying to give you, you know, an explanation of how we got here. But like I said, we're working 7 days a week trying to get it open this year. And then with that, we've got the other milestones, you know, spring of 25, we should have all 4 lanes open up. So that's another thing that people don't see out there, is that we're building the north half as well as we're building the south half. We're just not building one side of it and then starting from scratch again on the next side. It's pretty much complete when we open up 1 lane in each direction. So we'll have a quick turnaround when we open up all 4 lanes. So it'll be just a few months between them, and that milestone will be complete. And then the final completion will be early 26 for final acceptance of the project, but we'll be done much sooner than that. We'll be done towards the fall of 25. The early 26, I've got contract time that extends out there with weather days and holidays that we've been granted, so it pushes that date out. But we're pretty much on track to be done in 2025, you know, for that. Just real quick, we'll go through some quick slides here so you can get a better, you know, feel for where we're at. This is the south approach, so this is coming up northbound US 1 towards the bridge on the south side. You can see we paved the approach there. We've got our MSE wall that's leading up to it with some of the PED railing that we've installed. So that's ongoing. This is the spans, you know, past that spans 1 and 2 that are complete with PED railing. The traffic railing's going on it as we speak. Next slide. This is the piers that I was talking about. You see the front faces with those three-dimensional panels there. Very hard to achieve that. So just wanted to show you those panels. Next slide. This is the inside. So you can see it's a 4-story building in there. So you can see the shell, what it looked like before, prior to us putting in mechanical and structural steel members that you see on the right. That's going in. So a lot of work in there. These are the mechanical features, and I just want to spend a minute here so those who aren't familiar with how the bridge opens. The first picture on the left is what's called the trunnion. That is what the bridge rotates on. Okay, so all that is nothing more than a steel piston, smooth machine piston. It just rotates up and down on. Okay, on the bottom of the structural steel member, there's this half moon section that you see in the middle picture with some machine teeth, right? So that's all attached to the leaf. Now that sits inside what's called the pinion. The pinion is a machined piece. It's with a motor on the end of it. So when the motor turns on, it starts spinning, engages that rack frame, and the bridge starts moving. And what's on the section on the right, that's what's called the hydraulic power unit, what we say is HPU. So if you think about this, here I am, I'm the bridge tender, I'm the guy operating the bridge. I see everything's clear, I hit the button, the signal goes down, sends a signal at HPU, turns on, sends a signal over the motor turns on, starts cranking, the bridge starts moving, rotates on the trunnion, and the bridge opens up. So that's how all three are integrated together, and that's what operates the bridge. Now, to take all that mechanical equipment and put it up to the operator desk, I need a boatload of electrical infrastructure to go from down there up into the control house. What you see right here are all these cabinets that go inside. This is one room that's down there. The first two pictures, that's one room inside one of the piers. So 4 floors of that, on the outside is what you see. A lot of electrical, a lot of infrastructure that goes in. And then the picture on the right, that's one of the control panels that goes in the control house. So you got the main operator desk in the middle, and then you've got 2 standing control panels, one that controls the traffic gates and the other one that controls the span locks and opens the bridge. This is where we're at with the bascule spans. We poured our first bascule leaf last Saturday. We're putting a traffic railing and ped railing on it this week. That's good. And then the second one, this is the control house. You can see we took all the scaffolding down, but this is the outer shell. We got decorative stone that's already been put out there. So the outside is pretty much wrapped up, putting finishing touches on that. Next. This is the inside look. Obviously, it's more advanced now over the last few weeks. We've got more of the electrical cabinets in there. But you can see the 360 view that the operator has from inside. This is the north approach where span 5 is. So the span on the right, that's the southbound direction. That's where we'll have 1 lane in each direction when we first open. Thanks. This is again the approach leading up to the bridge between Jupiter Cove Drive and the bridge. And this is from Jupiter Cove Drive back to alternate A1A. So that was paved last week. And we should pave the other section prior to Thanksgiving or the first week after. Thanks. So again, these are what to look for. And I put this together so everybody can kind of have these checkpoints. And I picked these because this is what people can see, out there. So pouring the deck of span 5. This is all what's required to open the bridge from 1 lane each direction. We want to pour the deck for span 5. We've done that. You can see it. Pour the deck on the bascule bridge. So we've got the first one done. The second one will be done next week. Okay. then we need to shift the boat traffic into the main channel. Why we need to do that? Okay, so everyone sees the gap that's out there right now. So why isn't anybody building, a gap? What the hell's going on? Well, the boat traffic, that's a temporary channel that we're using right now so that we can build that bascule span. So once that's done and we are able to open up one of the leaves, I can then move the boat traffic back into the main channel and then set beams to fill in that last span. And we're looking to do that by Thanksgiving, is to have one of the leaves open and shift the boat traffic in. Once that boat traffic is shifted, we'll start setting beams for span 3, and then we'll pour the last span. Then we'll finish paving, the approaches. We'll do our final inspections, functional checkout for the bridge, make sure everything is operating the way it's supposed to, and then safely open it, open it up to traffic. So that's kind of the process there. Next slide. And like I said, this is just, going through with those checkpoints. You can see that first one was span 5. That's span 5 in the direction that we're trying to open. That's complete. Next. These are the bascule spans. The one on the left is complete. The one on the right we're pouring next week. This is the span 3. That's the missing span. So as soon as we shift that boat traffic over, which we're trying to do by Thanksgiving, then we'll start working on that last span. And then that's the south approach where we've paved that leading up to the bridge, and we've paved a portion or half of the north approach from Jupiter Cove back to A1A, and then we'll pave from Jupiter Cove to the bridge probably either by Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving. And then I don't want to, again, don't want to lose sight of some of these other milestones that we're excited to have. We said a few months after we open this, we'll have traffic open to all 4 lanes, right? Instead of just 1 lane. We'll have all 4 lanes by around March, March, April timeframe of next year. Next. And then this is the exciting thing, is that once we put the traffic on the bridge, right, then we're going to drop down underneath on the south approach by 1000 North, and we're going to complete that river walk that connects 1000 North to Utiki and the pedestrian observation deck that goes underneath the bridge on the south end. And we should have that by summer of next year. And then project completion, we should have, we're tracking the fall of next year. We have till early 26 is our contract time, but we're pretty much tracking, we'll be done in the fall of next year with final, and that's, painting everything, doing all our point patching, making everything look, the way the drawing, looks here. So that's it. So I think we're on a good track to have everything done. I appreciate, everyone's patience, in this construction process. I know it hasn't been easy, but the end is near. So just bear with us a little longer. We're getting there. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions you have.
Great, thank you. Council, any comments, questions for Scott?
No questions. Just I'm in the construction industry, and we build buildings on dry land, and that's hard enough. So I very much respect what you guys do, and I also know that very rarely do things happen exactly how you think they're going to. And really, it's how you react to those, mitigate, and ultimately recover from them is what matters. And it sounds like you guys are doing a great job at that. And just appreciate the hard work, and can't wait for it to be done.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
First question, is this gentleman back here with you?
I have a few for moral support.
Okay.
This is Joel
Hi, Joel.
Jara. He is the FDOT project manager for the project, and these are my 2 cohorts here, Tyler Smith and Tony Grau. They work with me monitoring the project, and my PIO or community outreach specialist, Meredith Cruz, with us.
I was gonna ask you if you have a son named JJ Maybank.
What's that?
No. Only if you understand. What a cool job you have. Very hard job, but very cool. So how do we get you guys into our schools to start motivating our next generation?
God, just let me know. I'll come.
Because we need
give a
these, right?
speech.
We need these bridges, and as time goes on, they're not the old school bridges. They're very high tech with all the mechanicals and
Yes.
everything. You mentioned alternate A1A bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I hate to even bring it up. Do we have any idea, like, plans for the
I
future
have
on that
heard-
bridge?
Yes, I know it's coming up for replacement. It's currently in the plan and development stage.
Is it?
But it probably won't go to construction for maybe another, I don't know, 5 to 7 years.
I was gonna say 30.
Yeah, everybody would prefer 30.
Okay,
yeah.
just because those bridges aren't ours, so we don't always hear things
Yeah.
like right off the bat.
It went to, I was surprised because when we just did the repairs that first year, I'm wanting to say it was the beginning of last year, or the fall of the previous year in '22 when I saw it go to PD&E
Okay.
study. So that's where it's at right now.
I'm not rooting for it or anything, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just curious because I don't want to be blindsided by that.
Yeah,
Um,
but that one does need to.
So just for our people's sake, because once that bridge opens, everyone, even one lane in each direction, everyone's gonna go bananas and want to use it. Donald Ross Bridge and Indiantown Bridge in the past year at least have gotten stuck. Do we have plans for how you're gonna staff your bridge when it
Yes,
opens?
yes,
Just so in case, because it's new and, everything needs to be functioning.
Absolutely. So what people need to realize that when we do open it, it's being managed by the contractor. So the contractor he's the one operating it. He's got the bridge tenders that he actually has a contract with the people that were operating it previously, which is FDI, but they're part of the construction team. So the contractor and them will be on site
Okay,
at all times. So it won't be just one.
perfect. So
person,
we don't,
so
it doesn't have to be a
something happens
phone
there.
call and then 2 days and,
Yep,
okay, cool.
exactly.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you for the tour of the site a week ago, and thank you for all the hard work and update.
Absolutely. Yeah, and feel free, if you guys ever want, for those who missed it the last time, if they ever want something, feel free to reach out and we'll take you on a tour.
Yeah. Thank you. It's an amazing feat that you guys are accomplishing. It's beyond my, I can't grasp how you build something in the water like that. It's amazing. So congratulations on what you're doing. It's one of those modern marvels. So you guys are doing a great job. So keep up the great work. And
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you for the time for the tour last week, and I saw you on a chamber call as well. I mean, you've been out and about too, on
Yes.
top of your very busy schedule, getting the word out to the community. So thank you. And I kind of second what Councilmember Painter said. I'm in marine construction, so I do know how hard it is. I've never done a bridge. I couldn't imagine. Like, it's another level, and you're working 7 days a week. I hope you all get a very long vacation after the bridge
Yes.
is done, because I know you're working hard. And the
Absolutely.
detour, I don't think could have gone better. So yeah, it's been probably the best case scenario to date,
Thank
even
you.
with being a little late. I mean, it's very understandable with what you guys are up against, so.
I appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving on. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Oh, Meredith, did you want to say anything?
is she doing
No,
95?
okay.
I thought they were doing
Thank you,
95.
Meredith.
Yes, she is. Okay, moving on. Any communication from citizens? Marianne, do you have any cards? Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't, you interrupted. I said, can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, do we have any communications from citizens?
I have something for, item number 11.
Okay.
11 was your birth policy.
On the consent agenda?
That's
Okay.
fine, it's not a problem. I just wanted to thank the village staff and the council who were involved with the enactment of the brick policy, especially for designating a sacred place, a Remembrance Park. This program will give everyone the opportunity to procure a marker for remembrance and honor. In that vein, we, the historians, wish to donate from our funds 20 bricks on which will be the names of our founders and those following them, who through their services and commitments built this village community. As Sir Isaac Newton once said, we stand on the shoulders of giants. As the construction continues, I am envisioning a lovely space where people can find a quiet place away from the turmoils of the world and find peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, communications from council.
I'm good.
I just got something quick. Just want to recognize and remind everyone, month of November is Men's Health Awareness Month, hence this ugly mustache on my face. But it's an important month, and just to remind everybody, what we're really talking about is certain cancers, particularly prostate, testicular, and suicide that affect men. So just remember that, and everyone stay healthy.
I do not get to participate in November, but I very much support it.
You could if you want.
But that isn't there.
A few comments. Florida League of Cities committee that I attend. It's a state committee that meets 3 times, and we vote on the top 2 items to take to Tallahassee for next year's session. It's been an enjoyable experience. I've learned a lot, met a lot of great people from around the state, elected officials of all sizes of municipalities. And I think that Tequesta is represented very well on these committees, as we have the same vote that the city of Miami does. So whoever's in attendance, that's who votes, and that's how they're counted up, and each counts as one. So Tequesta is represented well amongst the state, and I look forward to continuing to be a part of this committee and learn from those from around the state as well. Another item, the tailgate event that happened for the loss of the Dolphins, but it was a great time a couple Sundays ago. Phenomenal event. All the neighbors just came out and said how great it was. They didn't know what to expect. I even had a high school boy come up to me and say, how great and fun the event was, and that's a hard thing to do right at that age. So thank you for all staff that participated in that.
Can I just say one more quick thing?
Yeah, of course.
Also wanted to recognize fire. I've been to a few chili cook-offs. I think that was the best one. I've heard like 4,000 people came in and out, give or take. There was a lot of people there. So awesome work to your team and everybody involved, and really love the emphasis. You guys always do, but the emphasis on the veterans this year was strong. So good work.
Yeah, thank you. To the staff driving in tonight with this time change, the lights look amazing, so please pass that along to Doug or whoever is in charge of that. That was really great to see. As Jason and Molly were, I also attended the Florida League of Cities on the natural resources, public works, and utilities, and we have a few of those projects going on. Our priorities, one of which is one we discussed last year, where the inability, it's coming back, the legislation that will want to restrict our ability to upcharge our extraterritorial water. That's going to come back again. Last year's sponsor feels it's taxation without representation. He's the only one that believes in that, but it's a priority for the leadership, so it's coming back, so we'll need to stand firm on that. The ability to transfer from enterprise funds to the general to cover the related administrative expenses. So those are probably the 2 that we'll be focusing on, but we have one more month to discuss. As a note to my colleagues, I was appointed as the alternate to the Palm Beach County Water Resources Task Force. Haven't had a meeting yet, but so we'll keep all things water. And congrats to our staff for early voting. This is the first time that we had an early voting facility here. It brought people to Tequesta that had never been here. A lot of positive feedback. The poll workers were great. We had over 4,000 people come to the village to vote, which was fantastic. And Chief, I'm assuming you'll talk about it, but I echo Patrick's comments on, and Jason was there, and thank you for your time to volunteer. The mayor who ate 32 or 42 samples of chili, still has recovered.
Still digesting.
Great event, so thank you.
I'll just give a quick update on my Florida League of Cities Finance and Taxation Committee. The same 4 items were discussed, no one else. There was opportunity at the November meetings for committee members to bring another topic, but nothing else was brought for us for discussion. So we did vote on the 4, and the property taxes, including the tangible personal properties. We are gonna wrap that into the property tax, and local business taxes were the two that came up as a top two. So in December, we'll be wordsmithing the statements, and we'll decide which will be our priority and which will be our policy issue. And then I do, along lines with the chili cook-off, it was on our consent agenda. I do want to just thank the FP Tequesta property owners for letting us use that property. Again, that's very kind of them to let us do that every year. And then I don't think we're meeting again before Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Moving on to standing reports, village attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Thank you very much. So, when they made me president of the Florida Municipal Attorneys Association, they didn't tell me that I had a seat on the Florida League of Cities Education and Training Advisory Committee. And then in addition to being on the Municipal Operations Policy Committee, I have a seat on the actual Florida League of Cities Legislative Committee. So for everyone who's on one of the policy committees, if there's anything you want me to convey at the Legislative Committee meeting, which meets Friday morning after all the policy committees meet Thursday, just let me know, because apparently I'm gonna go up and I'll be there for all 3 days doing all this stuff. But I did want you guys to know, because it sounds like we have people on just about every one of the policy committees, so I will be in the Friday morning meeting, and I'll be happy to convey anything you want me to. And I'll leave it with that for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions? Then two, Jay's on, what one are you on, Jay? Because Jay's on a committee too.
Development and redevelopment. So they're gonna look at the local to the big priority and affordable housing.
Okay, and then Jeremy, you're on one too.
Yeah, but I didn't go this last time, but I know there's discussion about annexation and trying to do more with that. There was also just discussion, I don't think it's really a policy thing, about regional or FDOT transportation from like a regional standpoint, putting together master plans, I guess updating those. I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but I don't think we picked a policy statement yet at this point.
Yeah, very well represented, like you said.
Yeah.
Which is great. All right, village manager?
Just a few things. We're continuing our resident program with the Jupiter High School, December 6th and 10th. We're going to have 2 days with those high school students, their government class. So I think that'll be fun. I appreciate the clerk's office for taking the lead on that. And I know we've been trying to do a youth program for that class for a couple of years now. And so it's good that the high school's participating in that with us. Thank Jay for submitting the grant for the Jupiter Narrows project. As you guys remember, last meeting we agreed to partner with them to submit that grant, and so Jay worked for a couple of days straight to try to get that grant submitted. Salty Zebra will be having a ribbon cutting tomorrow at 2 o'clock right here in the Gallery Grill parking lot, and then what's already been said is the chili cook-off, just an amazing event. My brother came in, a veteran, and he just overwhelmed by how cool it was. So just kudos to Dave McGovern and all that group that participated, and congratulations to Tequesta Fire. So for the chili. So.
Any comments, questions for the manager?
No.
Okay, next up, police department.
Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Village Manager. You have my report before you, just a couple of the highlights. October was very busy for us. We had National Night Out, Coffee with a Cop, as well as a civilian firearm safety class, actually both on the same day. A couple of trunk or treat events at the Legion, as well as the Tequesta Family Church. Of course, car seat installations, which we offer at no charge to our residents, and we're always available, as well as fingerprinting services. Again, no charge to our residents. For non-residents, there is a charge. And then the only other thing I'd like to highlight is November 20th. I'm sure you got the invite from Sylvina. We'll be graduating our first group of explorers. They passed their exam under Lieutenant Blanc's leadership and guidance, and we'll have a small ceremony on the 20th at 6 p.m. in Council Chambers. So if you can attend, we'd appreciate that. So. Thank you.
I have one question about your Explorers program. If they graduate this time, do they get to participate next time?
So
Or are they done with the
it's
program?
kind of misleading, right? So it's not they're graduating from the program, it's more they learn our 10 codes, there's certain things about police department that they learn, but they're gonna continue on in the program. So
Okay,
it's not like they're actually out
So
of
you
it.
can kind of stay in it
Absolutely,
continuously?
up until the age of 20, they
Okay.
actually stay in there, but they, to be provided a uniform and all the other steps, eventually we like to get into competing against other explorers throughout the state of Florida. You have to go through this graduation, but they continue the training with us.
Very cool.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Fire department.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Village Council, Mr. Manager, Village Attorney, Village Clerk. I'm going to start off by saying, the very top of my report, you'll note that we've been continuing to have these meetings with EMSMC. That is the EMS billing company that we outsource to. So I'm happy to announce that those meetings are going to go to once a month, which is standard operating procedure at this point. So the onboarding is complete. We're up and running fully. Secondly, of course, last month was disrupted by Hurricane Milton. So we're not going to spend too much time more on hurricane season, hopefully the rest of this season. We were able to get out to Firefest. We had a 4-person team out there at Firefest teaching CPR and Stop the Bleed. So that was, again, right after the meeting we had last month. We brought Palm Beach State College in for 2 rounds of 3 days of training and a command and control class. This is actually teaching our firefighters and our officers how to command and control a larger scene. So you start with something simple like a single family residence with a fire in a bedroom, and you graduate to a bigger building, commercial building, and eventually to a high-rise building. And I can tell you they put some of our captains through the ringer there at the end. So interesting class. We'll be glad to have them back at some point. And then, of course, there's the chili cook-off. Actually, if I get the manager to move me to page 5 and 6 on that, that'd be great. So they're old pictures, but it is going to get you to the flavor of the day. And you don't want to talk about the hurricanes. We don't want to talk about that. So those are actually the pictures from last year, but one of the things, of course, we're really happy with is just the turnout. I don't want to get into Dave McGovern's presentation, which will come next month when we do the check. But I can tell you we definitely beat what we normally do at the gate. I can tell you the crowd was probably in that 3,500 to 4,000 range. I can tell you I don't think we had a lot of complaints about anything. We'll do an after-action review in January like we always do, and we try to make this event run smoother and smoother. To run the event, and again, I don't want to steal Dave's thunder, but there's 140, 150 volunteers with 10 or 15 people in very key positions. And I know Jason understands this. It's just like running an incident command system. We can actually get points for that in training if we wanted to submit it as such, but it's a really unique event. I think it's really become a unique event to Tequesta. I know our name is out nationally on this. It's a nationally recognized chili cook-off. It gets put on the national news occasionally. It's certainly all over the local stations, so we get a lot of good publicity out of it. But more importantly, we take care of our veterans, and I think that's something that Tequesta has always done. And I think this event kind of showcases it. But we're proud to take care of those veterans. And it started with Dave McGovern, a little idea to support Honor Flight, and it's grown into multiple charities and all that. And I'm pretty proud of us. And of course, I probably would be remiss if I didn't say we won the Tequesta Chili Cook-Off this year. And next month you'll probably get to see the trophy up close. It's really tall. We'll be carrying it out in front of us. I'm very proud of the guys. I was tired of losing to that other team down in Broward. I'm not going to mention the fire department, but somebody had to beat them, and I'm glad it was us. So that's the second time ever that we've won it. It truly is, as several of you have done, been the judges. You're sequestered. You don't know what chili you're tasting. It's as honest a chili cook-off event as you'll find. So to win it is pretty impressive, and I think the guys did a great job. So obviously we're thrilled with it, and we appreciate the support as always from the Village of Tequesta and the council and all the people. So, moving on. Yesterday was a little bit of a bittersweet day for Tequesta Fire Rescue. We had our November EMS in service, which is something we do 6 times a year. And this time we had Dr. Venzik joining us for the first time as the medical director. He took over, of course, on November 1st. With your consent agenda approval, of course, you approved the contract. We also said goodbye to Dr. Tanabe. We had a luncheon pretty much that followed immediately afterwards. We gave him a nice gift from us, from the fire department, and we gave him a plaque. And he had 30 years of service with the Village of Tequesta as the medical director, the only medical director we've ever known. We would not be the fire rescue agency without his efforts. You know, if I think back to '93 when we all started, we went to ALS the following year, '94, Dr. Tanabe joined us. The department made an effort to be not just good, but to lead. You know, we were one of the, if not the first department in the county to have 12 lead EKGs, nitro drips. One of the first ones to put paralytics not just on a command vehicle, but inside a rescue truck. So we've always tried to stay out on the front lines if we can and lead where we could. And I'll be forever thankful for Dr. Tanabe's efforts, is what I'm trying to tell you. And he was a big help in picking his own successor. So Dr. Venzik comes with his approval as well. So I think we're in good hands. And I wanted to just bring you up to speed on that. Next week, we are hosting Swiftwater 1 and 2. We do have a couple members getting certified in that, which will bring our numbers up on our team up to 9. The 3 days before we go on to Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief.
Waiting the grant reimbursement. See, just trying to hit the highlights here. Water main number 4, I've stood up here saying we're in the twilight of the project, and really, I think as you drive down Country Club, you'll see that we really are, the restoration is really picking up the pace there. So we've completed all of the 5 tie-ins to the new water main, to the water distribution system, and we have a second DEP audit that will be next Tuesday. So we passed the first audit for the SRF loan, and we will be meeting with them with Mr. James Skirkin. He'll be coming down from Tallahassee. And there's a number of photos, of course, for you guys to see. Because I try to, I can't compete with Chief, but you know. Martin County, we've gotten the team will send me pictures of projects at.
Thank you. Council?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance 08-20.
Development director, when you're doing construction, but they've got some interesting ideas they're kind of kicking when you're doing construction, but they've got some interesting ideas they're kind of kicking around to really do some voluntary stuff and do a lot of educational stuff as well. So we'll probably workshop that with you all in the future with the AAC, but that's all we have for now.
Thank you. Council, any?
No questions. Thank you, Jay.
I have one. It was one of the things we added for the emergency one. It was one of the things we added for the emergency one. So in the event that emergency repairs are needed as a result, so we would always know what's going on, and then you would just make that call.
Correct.
Okay. And say to help them with expediting, would there be any kind of follow-up afterwards with the applicant? Like, would you still, if we don't require a permit, would you still inspect it to make sure it's, installed correctly, or would we totally defer everything to DEP and Army Corps?
I mean, the way it's written, they would defer to DEP and Army Corps.
Okay, got it. Okay, any other?
I have a few comments, concerns. I got a month to ponder this and speak to some residents, and I think it's a step in the right direction. A lot of the language is great. I do have some concerns for the mandatory living shoreline, 50% renovation or new construction. I think the first part is most of the residents who, if not all, who are going to be affected by this are unaware that this is going into language for the future. So they could realize it in 1 year or 10 years. It just seems like some government overreach. in my view, onto someone's private property. And then the other concern is, are we going to see this presented more to us as in the future it could be solar requirement for new roof construction and things of that nature? And because it feels it's kind of going in that direction. And so that's a little bit of a worry to me. And those are my concerns, but my recommendation is that we remove the mandatory language. We look in the future for some more incentive or encourage residents to go towards a living shoreline without making it mandatory. But the rest of the language I do think is a good step in the right direction.
Thank you. Any other council comments or questions?
No,
Okay. Any comment cards?
No comment cards.
Any public comment? Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Moving on, agenda item 17, ordinance number 10-24, second reading of amending our pension trust for police.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 1024, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 2, Administration, Section 2-61, Pension Trust Fund, Exhibit B, Public Safety Officers Pension Trust Fund, to adopt and implement a service purchase option for police officers to purchase prior Village of Tequesta police.
But that's how it goes. So they come up with an actuarial sound, report, and there you go.
Okay. All right, any comment cards?
No comment cards.
No, any public comment? All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this is where I gotta amend the agenda, so I'm not trying not to mess this up. So under new business, the new item 18 is resolution 12-24. Nope, I'm sorry. Hold
Yeah,
on.
that's-
Nope, I was right. I was
You're
right.
right.
12-24. A resolution for the police pension opt-in. Okay.
Okay, this is pretty self-explanatory. This is the next step, the companion resolution that goes with the ordinance. Now that we've changed our pension ordinance, this allows them back into the program.
Any council comments, questions? I just had one. Could you explain the difference between the police chief and the assistant police chief? How it's listed in the resolution, it was different, and I wasn't clear on
It was different
exactly what that meant.
because according to, we work with the pension attorney, Bonnie Jensen, and she, after looking at the pension plan, she said she didn't know how the assistant police chief wasn't included in the plan in the first place, because there was no option for them to opt out. And so that's the difference. So you change the plan to get the police chief in, the assistant chief, he was there. He should have been there.
Got it, okay. Okay, any-
Just much like the intern firemen, that's the same kind of deal. They should have been in the plan, they weren't. We made that right not too long ago. I don't remember how long, not
Yeah,
too
I
long
remember
ago,
that.
but if I remember
We
it, it
did.
wasn't very long ago.
18 months ago.
It was recent, yeah.
Yeah, 18, 20 months ago.
Okay. Any comment cards? Any public comment? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, former agenda item 18, which is now item 19, ordinance -09-24. First reading for an ordinance to update our flood insurance and flood rate maps.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0924, an ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 78 zoning, Article 12, flood damage prevention, to update the effective date of the current applicable NFIP flood insurance study and flood insurance rate maps by revising certain definitions and correcting occasional scrivener's errors and non-substantive internal inconsistencies, providing that each and every other section, subsection of Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Wayne Cameron, Building Director. Just gonna wait for the PowerPoint to come up. But in the meantime, this ordinance in front of you just to give you a little bit of a background, the village participates in the NFIP program as well as the CRS program, and we've worked with the Florida Department of Emergency Management to make sure that we're consistent with the language and making sure that we're able to not have any inconsistencies between the state mandates and federal mandates, and as such, the 9-24 is designed to clean up any such discrepancies. That one's 20. That's 19, sorry.
So while they're pulling that up, I can just add, as you all know, FEMA has updated its flood maps and study in order for the village's residents to be able to continue to outdated language and make some non-substantive, keep you good with that. That's really pretty much what we're doing here. And it has to be adopted by December 20th, so this will be
October 17th meeting in front of you. The question that they had was in the package that you have right in front of you. So the definition as it stands and is because, needless to say, the document as it's the document as it's written in front of you is correct. The LPA just asked me to double check that, and I just want to make mention that I did check it. The document stands, it is correct. So barring that, and then the next slide would just be the guidance that they provided, which is what's in front of you, and makes reference to the cost of repair and damage. If you have any other questions, I'm here to answer that before I move on to talking about flood maps.
I'm good. We'll move on.
I have nothing.
Okay. So the new flood maps are going to be effective December 20th. The changes are in front of you. For the most part, any X-zone properties, which are those outside of the special flood hazard area, are pretty much remaining the same. The changes in the flood maps are in the special flood hazard area, which is the AE zones, as well as the VE zones. So those properties that you see highlighted with the blue are currently a BFE 5, and they're moving a foot higher for new construction substantial improvement to 6. A handful of them remain the same, but they're, for the most part, the majority has changed from a 5 to a 6. On the VE side, which is on the Beach Road properties, which is the VE side, that is moving from a 10 to a 12. So that's a 2-foot difference. What we've done is that we've also updated our website, and we provide a link on the next slide. You'll see the link about finding your flood zone. So on the flood, you'll go to the building department website, you'll click on the flood information, put your address in there, and it will tell you what your new flood zone is going to be. The meeting that we had in Jupiter, the residents were able to come in and get first-hand information as far as what their flood zone would look like and how the new maps will be impacting their existing property. But we've also got this available on our website, so anyone in the village and anyone in the community can feel free to go ahead and do that. And we also provide the, any questions that they have, they can always come to the building department and get that information. That's pretty much it. Unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Council?
Questions, thank you.
One quick question on construction. If a permit's already issued but construction hasn't started, they're grandfathered in under the current maps?
Anybody who has an issued permit, not a permit application, but an issued permit, you are grandfathered in as far as not having to build at the higher elevation.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Any cards? No? Any public comment? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, former agenda item 19, which is now agenda item 20, is ordinance number 11-24, which is first reading to add guest parking and loading zone to multifamily.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 1124. Ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of Chapter 78 zoning, Article 10, off-street and on-street parking and loading regulations. Amending Section 78691, minimum standards to update ADA parking space requirements in conformance with the Florida Building Code. Section 78696, off-street loading spaces to provide loading space requirements for multifamily residential uses. And Section 78705, required number of parking spaces to provide parking space requirements for multifamily residential uses. Providing that each and every other section, subsection, Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted.
It's a quick one. So yeah, back in 2023, McMahon did a parking study. You know, the goal of the study was determine if our multifamily parking standard per dwelling unit, which was, showed that the parking code is generally working. However, it was kind of pointed out that we don't really have guest parking standards. So at those workshops, you directed staff to require 0.25 guest parking spaces per dwelling unit. And then we also had a discussion of making plans currently for multifamily projects. There's some projects we've seen where that can be kind of difficulty for moving trucks, delivery vehicles, and service vehicles to operate. So you directed staff to require one loading zone per multifamily development, so that's in the code. And then also, per that discussion there. Next slide. While updating the parking code, we also noticed that there was just some slight issues with the ADA code. So we just tweaked that to make sure it's consistent with the ADA regulations. Just kind of like a glitch, basically. So that's in the new code. The LPA voted to recommend approval by a vote of 5-0. They did have one good recommendation, which is to give council discretion to require an additional loading zone in a mixed-use project. So for instance, right now, you only have to have a loading zone if you have 10,000 square feet of commercial or 25,000 square feet of office. So in a mixed-use project, you could have a multifamily project and maybe something that has 18,000 square feet of office and 7,000 square feet of commercial. So those you need it for the residential, but you wouldn't need it for those commercial uses. So the LPA kind of pointed out that it'd be good to give council discretion to require those in a multifamily project, or a mixed-use project, when you feel it's appropriate. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you. Council?
I don't have any questions.
I support that additional line that you just mentioned, Jay, from LPA. That's a great idea.
I agree.
Yeah, likewise.
I think the loading zone for the residential would be like for people moving in and out, right? Where is a moving truck gonna pull up?
It's a moving truck, it's for service vehicles.
Yeah. But that item D, what is this under? Section 78-696. That's just for off-street. So this would be within the
project.
Okay, because I'm like that one D is kind of like similar. It's saying the same thing. That's our discretion, and it says a council's discretion, but I'm assuming that's gonna be coming with your expertise, because I don't know that we're the experts to
Right.
determine
Sure.
that another loading zone is warranted. And I think we do wanna be sensitive and careful that we're not overburdening, the property with too much, taking up space with extra loading zones. So, I mean, is that, who ultimately, we would vote on it, but who's gonna provide that recommendation? Is it
So,
you?
yeah.
Would they get a study from a consultant? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be staff at the staff level. Ultimately, we'll have a joint talk between, police and fire, building, planning, during the DRC process to determine if we feel like they need one. But ultimately, it's up to council. So if the applicant were to fight against it and say, no, I don't think I should provide this additional loading zone, they could move forward with their plans, and then ultimately it's council's, decision to say, yeah, that's fine, or no, you're gonna add that loading zone.
Yeah, so if they refuse, you would still tell us we recommended, they did not add it, so you.
We would recommend denial of the site.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, now we're back on track. Agenda item 21, resolution.
This estimated, so the $3,000 was the new mandate from the state for notice for changes in fees. So we have to do mailings to each individual place, so that's the $3,000. And then there were just a few adjustments on the number of residents and things like that got for recycling, refuse, and yard waste. So that makes that up for the 4,800.
Thank you. Council, any comments, questions?
I just want to see us not getting this jam next year, or whenever that next contract's up. Next year, or whenever that next contract's up.
I'm sorry, do you have any comments? On the leisure services, so I think you answered one of my questions. We have the adjustment coming from, it's coming strictly from revenue.
Increased revenues, right.
Okay, so we're not in a position where we have to revisit the fee structure or anything, we're covering.
Yeah, Mr. Corbett's done a really good job with the events he plans or
So the way this, works is these are typically program fees. We collect fees for, gymnastics, yoga, whatever class we got over there. The instructors get 70% of the money. Everybody pays the rec center. The instructors get 70%. The village gets 30%. And so we've collected $100 and something thousand in additional revenue that we didn't project. And then we're gonna have an additional like $80,000 in expenses. So we're in the positive by like $20,000. It's just we didn't. I think a lot of it we'll get better with that revenue projection and expenses as we have more time in the rec center. But it's going to be dependent upon programs and the success of the programs that we bring in. So
It's good to hear how it's.
This is a renewal, the final agreement renewal with Borderline. And actually, the next three are renewals for just regular water meter fittings and water line accessories. And we bring this every year just for regular maintenance activities. And this is just the final renewal of the cooperative agreement that we have, the Southeast Florida Cooperative Agreement for these purchases.
Okay, got it. And then, I know that's your typical annual.
It's the country club, the one that we just replaced.
Great.
So
So maybe there could be some improvement. Great. All right, any comment cards? Any public comments? Still back there. All right, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 23, consider approval of agreement renewal with Ferguson for water meter fittings and water line accessories.
And this is the same, Marjorie Craig, Utilities Director, this is the same type of, for purchase of maintenance items. This is the, for same type of agreement, piggybacking the city of Deerfield Beach, which actually acted as the agent for the cooperative. And so if you Google this particular agreement, you'll see that pretty much all of the municipalities in the southeast have used these agreements with these companies to purchase this type of equipment. Sunrise, Boca Raton, Deerfield Beach, Cooper City, all of them.
Any council comment or question? No. Any public comment? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 24, consider approval of agreement renewal with Core and Main for water meter fittings and water line accessories.
Marjorie Craig, Utilities Director. This is the last renewal for the same agreement under the same purchasing piggyback.
Thank you. Any council comment or question?
No, ma'am.
Any public comment? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 25, consider approval of the FDEP State Revolving Fund Loan Agreement Extension 2, number 2.
Marjorie Craig, Utilities Director, and this is just the date extension. And we've had to do, this is the second date extension, and this, although the substantial completion will be mid-December, the final completion, they put it out till, I think, May, just to make sure that every little I is dotted and T is crossed, so we don't have to do this again. And then the first payment, I think I said, is due in November to the SRF loan for this.
Thank you. Any council comments or questions?
No.
On the summary, it says that there's a change order forthcoming, it sounds like potentially from BMB.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. So there is a change order, and this would be for the, the time delays, the materials, can't believe I'm blanking out. Oh, the connections, it's 25 foot in every direction. It used to be a smaller patch, and so that was not in our original bid. And so that costs more, and so that'll be part of the change order.
And if the change order, is the loan increase to accommodate that, or is that coming out of reserves? How is that paid for?
No, it's actually, we had a 50, I think it was like $50,000 play in the change order, which is actually pretty small for that size of a contract. And it's within that amount.
Okay, so it's covered in the loan?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay.
We have worked really hard.
Great, good to hear. Great, any other comments, questions?
No, ma'am.
Nope.
Any public comment? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 26,
Thank you.
consider approval of purchase of a DeVal Ford, with DeVal Ford, a 2025.
A dump trailer, a Tamaguchi, and we've got a Vermeer excavator that we pull around. It also, if you've ever seen a utility truck, you can't put a utility body on any truck that is smaller than an F-250. So if you have an F-150, you can't put that utility body. The utility body is the body where you can open it up and store parts and store tools and small pieces of equipment. So anything that's smaller than, you have to have a minimum of a 250. So it allows you to put those parts, so you don't have to go back to the shop for things. But it also allows you to carry around the heavy equipment. So that's what this will be for.
Okay.
Generators.
All right, council, any comments,
Any
questions?
questions?
I have none.
Any public comment? Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Because they always get the pleasure of listening to our meetings a second or even a third time to make sure they get all our minutes and notes, and God bless them.
You're welcome. If there's interest, I think we should probably workshop it. So you guys are aware of the Jupiter Narrows Conservation Alliance, that we did the support letter, and we helped them with the grant. They had a media event on Wednesday that I attended. They're partnering with the Andretta Harris Foundation, and the Alliance did send Jeremy and I an email, and also the county commissioner, if we would support the naming of the islands. They're probably not going to do any kind of support. They did, yeah, they gave him like $175,000 check. I know
The Harris Foundation.
they did,
Okay.
yes, correct.
To the Harris, okay.
The only thing I'd add to that was maybe along the same lines is they also asked.
The association has reached out to Jeremy and I to support the slow wake zone, but again, we need to have a discussion. That's something we want to do.
Have a.
It's fine. I'm okay with it. If you wanna just address it.
I don't.
You don't,
No.
okay.
Not to take away from what they've done.
Yeah, only
Oh,